In the depths of the Aegean, where the light falters and silence reigns, something ancient stirs beneath a blanket of coral and rust. For 2,000 years, the wreck has slept, a Roman ship torn apart by storm and time. Yet among the amphorae and fractured marble lies an enigma of bronze and precision, a machine no ancient hand should have conceived. The sea has devoured its ship, its crew, its purpose, yet the machine remains. When divers first touched it in 1901, they thought it a statue's remnant, a forgotten relic of empire. But as salt water dripped from its gears, something impossible glimmered within. A heartbeat, mechanical yet eternal, waiting for the world to remember. And now, across the centuries, it begins to move again. The sea holds memory better than stone. Beneath centuries of silence, the wreck lies scattered across the slope like a wound carved into the ocean floor. Each object whispers its history. Amphorae sealed with resin, coins bearing forgotten emperors, a marble statue face down in the sand. But among these relics, the divers find something unlike any god or weapon. Its shape is too precise, too deliberate. As Eleni steadies her breath and shines her light, she realizes it was built by minds that measured not power, but time itself. The currents swirl, as if the sea itself hesitates, unwilling to release what it has guarded for 2,000 years. Far above, in the modern control vessel, screens flicker with grainy feeds from the ocean floor. Dr. Alan Whitaker watches in stillness, the faint hum of equipment surrounding him like a heartbeat. He has studied the Antikythera mechanism all his life, yet nothing prepared him for the sight of it lying whole, untouched. The signal crackles as Eleni's voice reaches the surface, tight with awe. It's intact. Alan leans closer, glasses catching the monitor's pale glow. Somewhere within that corroded frame, he imagines the mind that designed it. Someone who once gazed at the same stars and calculated their motion by hand. In a surge of memory, the sea brings forth the past, the final hours of the ship that carried the impossible machine. The Roman vessel groans under the storm's fury, its timbers splitting as winged claws at the sails. Marcus Valerius grips the crate, shouting orders drowned by thunder, while Lysandros fights to hold the rudder. They do not yet know they carry the work of a genius, a device capable of predicting eclipses, tracking the heavens themselves. As the mast collapses, a bronze dial rolls free across the deck, its inscriptions gleaming and lightnings flash before vanishing into the dark. When the storm finally relents, silence descends, total and absolute. The ship lies in pieces upon the seabed, her cargo scattered like the bones of a dream. Centuries blur into the hush of deep time. Fish drift through the wreckage, coral blooms upon bronze. And then one day, the sea gives up its secret. From a shimmer of sand and silt emerges the same bronze face that once turned beneath human hands. It has waited longer than empires, longer than memory itself, for light to return. In its teeth of bronze, time has not stopped. It has only paused. The artifact rests on a padded steel table, its bronze surface steaming softly under filtered light. For the first time in 2 millennia, human hands prepare to awaken it. Eleni feels the weight of centuries pressing against her gloves as Alan adjusts the micromotor, the air thick with reverence. The world outside the lab vanishes. Only the sound of their breathing remains. With a faint mechanical sigh, one gear turns, and then another. The motion is impossibly smooth, precise as heartbeat and celestial rhythm entwine. Alan whispers, almost to himself, "It was never broken." The machine answers not with words, but with movement, ancient, deliberate, eternal. News spreads like a fever. The world calls it the clock of the ancients. Scholars flood to Greece, each armed with theory and ego. Some claim it's an astronomical calculator. Others, a calendar of gods. Eleni watches as debates ignite across glowing screens, her discovery transformed into spectacle. Yet beneath the noise, she feels a quiet pull, the sense that the machine knows something no one else can read. Late at night, she studies the teeth of its gears under magnification and senses order, harmony, purpose beyond utility. The mechanism does not measure time, it defines it. Beneath digital scans and spectral analysis, something emerges, a hidden inscription no modern language fully deciphers. Alan traces its faint etchings on the monitor, letters whispering of cycles, eclipses, and the harmony of spheres. He sees in it the fingerprints of an intelligence lost to history, someone who understood the clockwork of the cosmos before Rome knew glass. "This," he murmurs, "isn't imitation of the heavens, it is the heavens." Eleni feels the words settle like gravity. For a fleeting instant, she imagines the machine still connected to stars that have long since moved on. Night. The sea outside the lab is calm, dark, infinite. Eleni cannot sleep. She returns alone to the chamber where the machine rests, lit only by moonlight slanting through the skylight. The gears gleam faintly, as if alive. She touches the glass, and somewhere within, a slow turning begins. Unprompted, the air trembles. Her reflection merges with the device's bronze surface, and for a moment she sees constellations rotating around her like living diagrams. It is not malfunction, it is message. The universe, translated into movement, remembers itself. By morning, the phenomenon cannot be denied. Under constant observation, the gears continue their motion. No motors engaged, no hidden magnets. The world watches as ancient metal marks perfect celestial intervals in real time. Scientists debate physics. Philosophers invoke miracles. Alan stands silent amid the clamor, understanding what few will. Humanity has not surpassed its ancestors. It has only rediscovered their patience. As the machine's bronze hand completes another rotation, Eleni whispers what everyone feels, but none will say aloud. It still works. Time becomes a prisoner of bronze. As the days pass, Eleni and Alan track the device's motion and realize it no longer mirrors the stars above. It predicts them. Eclipses, lunar cycles, planetary alignments, all mapped to perfection, centuries ahead. Yet deeper within, something else begins to emerge. New inscriptions glowing faintly where corrosion once was. They shift like veins under skin, words forming and fading, as though the metal itself remembers. Alan begins to speak less, his notebooks filled with frantic sketches. Eleni feels the weight of something sentient in the silence, ticking beneath the heartbeat of the world. Outside, storms roll across the Aegean as if summoned by its rhythm. The air pressure falls in tandem with the gear rotations. Satellites detect magnetic pulses centered on the island. The ocean trembles. Eleni studies the readings, her fingers cold despite the heat of the lab. Alan insists it is coincidence, but his eyes betray belief. "It's sensing," she whispers. The gears stop. Then, suddenly, they turn backward, slowly at first, then smoothly, perfectly reversing the motions of the heavens. Time begins to rewind in miniature, an echo of the cosmos folding back upon itself. Days blur into sleepless nights. Alan locks himself in the lab, refusing visitors, muttering to unseen voices in the mechanism's reflection. Eleni watches through glass, horrified yet unable to intervene. When the lights flicker, the gears seem to glow on their own, each rotation accompanied by a faint whisper, like the grinding of distant stars. The team begins to abandon the project. Funding agencies withdraw, but Eleni cannot leave. She dreams of bronze constellations moving behind her eyes, of waves collapsing backward into the shipwreck that started it all. The machine is no longer artifact. It is memory incarnate. Eleni's recordings reveal something extraordinary. The mechanism's cycles align precisely with the positions of celestial bodies on the night the ship sank. It is replaying history, orbit by orbit, as if retracing its own death. She replays the storm footage from 1901 from 65 BCE, overlays them, and the patterns match. Alan no longer appears in the recordings. His reflection vanishes from mirrored glass. She begins to suspect the mechanism's true function was never to measure time, but to bind it, to hold history captive so that it could begin again. Then, silence. The gears stop at last, every tooth frozen mid-motion. For a long time, the lab hums only with power and breath. Eleni approaches, heart pounding. Alan is gone. His notebook lies open on the desk, filled with spirals and phrases repeating endlessly. We built it once. We build it always. The bronze mechanism rests perfectly still, but its reflection in the glass moves. A faint continuation. A ghost of motion persisting in another layer of time. Eleni touches the glass. The reflection turns to look at her. Eleni dreams of the sea, but when she wakes, the floor beneath her trembles as if the waves have risen into the lab itself. The machine has begun again, without power, without touch. Its gears turn in rhythms that no human built, tracing constellations that no longer exist. On her monitor, the date flickers between present and past, and for a moment the face of Lysandros appears among the data feed. Eyes wide and unblinking. The air smells of salt. She realizes she is not merely studying the wreck. She is inside it, caught in its last breath, and the storm that destroyed it is coming again. The storm returns. Rain lashes the island as it did long ago, thunder answering the rhythmic beat of bronze within the lab. Eleni sees flashes, Marcus Valerius shouting over the waves, the machine's crate sliding across the Roman deck. Alan's voice crackles through the comms, fragmented as if transmitted from another century. You're in its memory, he says. It's rebuilding the moment of its birth. Outside, lightning strikes the water and the entire sea glows for one impossible instant, revealing the shadow of the sunken ship, floating above itself. Eleni stumbles through corridors that now shift between metal and wood, modern machinery replaced by Roman rigging and oil lamps. She smells smoke and brine, hears sailors shouting. The machine's hum becomes thunder, guiding her toward the central chamber where time itself pulses. There she finds Alan, or what remains of him, his outline flickering between flesh and light. He looks younger now, or perhaps older than history. It's not a mechanism, he says softly, voice layered in echoes. It's memory, human memory, recorded in the only language that never dies, motion. The storm's roar becomes a choir of voices, divers, sailors, scholars, all converging across ages. The mechanism spins faster, its dials displaying constellations no telescope records. Eleni sees the universe collapse inward, the stars winding back through time until they align exactly as they did on the night the ship sank. Water rushes through the chamber, lifting papers and tools like drifting ghosts. As she braces herself, she realizes what Alan meant. This device was not made to measure time, but to preserve consciousness, to ensure no thought, no moment, is truly lost beneath the sea. For a moment, there is no separation, no past or present, no ship or laboratory, only the machine suspended in radiant silence, its gears aligned in perfect unity. Eleni floats weightless, surrounded by echoes of every era. The storm, the divers, the scholars, all woven into one eternal circuit. The mechanism halts, and in that stillness she hears the faint whisper of voices from across time. Not warnings, but gratitude. Humanity has never stopped turning. It has only continued the pattern. The bronze fades to light, and time breathes anew. Silence returns like breath after drowning. Eleni awakens on the floor of the lab, though everything feels slightly displaced. The light too golden, the air too still. The monitors hum faintly, but display no data, only constellations slowly shifting across black screens. The mechanism sits in its glass chamber, quiet once more, as if nothing had happened. Yet, when she reaches for her logbook, She finds pages filled with ancient Greek, written in her own handwriting. Outside the porthole, dawn breaks over a sea impossibly calm. The same horizon seen by sailors 2,000 years before. The world outside does not seem to notice. Communications return, instruments reboot, and the storm leaves no trace. But Eleni senses subtle distortions. The stars at night seem closer, their paths fractionally altered. Alan's voice appears on the recorder, though he is nowhere to be found, whispering calm equations that describe the impossible. When she plays them backward, they form coordinates, the precise position of the original wreck. The message is clear. The mechanism has completed its orbit, and the cycle must begin again. When Eleni returns to the island's shore, she carries the notebook wrapped in cloth, its pages humming faintly with static. The villagers speak of strange tides, of stars reflected in the sea where none should appear. She feels the pull of the deep calling her once more, not as a scientist but as a witness. On the horizon, the water shifts, and for a moment the outline of the Roman ship shimmers beneath the waves, whole again. The machine's echo continues, not in bronze, but in her heartbeat. Eleni dives again, one last descent into the ship's grave. The water is colder now, darker, but familiar. A place between time and dream. As she reaches the wreck, the sand shifts and the remnants of the machine glow faintly, synchronized with the beat of her pulse. There is no fear, only belonging. She places her hand upon the bronze casing, whispering words she does not remember learning. The machine responds with a single turn of its smallest wheel, as if recognizing its maker. Perhaps in some forgotten century she was. When she surfaces, the world is quiet. The waves are glass. The horizon endless. In the distance, the rising sun ignites the sea into molten gold. She looks down at her wrist. The water droplets bead and fall in slow, deliberate rhythm, matching the cadence of the mechanism's gears. Time continues, but differently. She knows the machine is not gone, only sleeping again, waiting for the next curious hand to wake it. History, she realizes, is not a line, but a circle, a bronze wheel turning forever beneath the sea, whispering. It still works. By the time the world learns of the event, the sea has already shifted. Tidal maps are rewritten, and the stars no longer align with ancient charts. The Antikythera mechanism, once silent in its glass case, becomes an object of pilgrimage. Eleni stands before panels of scientists and historians, each demanding explanation. She offers none. It wasn't built to be understood, she tells them softly. It was built to remember. The words ripple through the crowd like prophecy. Humanity stares at a device older than its empires, realizing it has been measuring the wrong thing all along. News networks loop the same footage, the gears moving with impossible precision, the storm that seemed to obey their rhythm. Nations argue ownership, religious leaders claim prophecy. Physicists call it anomaly. But for every explanation, another mystery unfolds. Astronomers detect faint patterns, pulsations in cosmic radiation, matching the gear ratios of the mechanism. Somewhere deep in the sea, sensors record a low mechanical hum that was not there before. Eleni watches it all from her small apartment window, realizing the machine has already begun teaching the world to listen. Museums worldwide begin to test their ancient artifacts, scanning for bronze alignments, forgotten mechanisms. One by one, they find echoes, fragments of the same design hidden in forgotten astrolabes and sundials, as though the idea had scattered like seeds across civilizations. Alan's journals resurface online, his handwriting digitized and translated. The world realizes the machine was not a single creation, but a network, an ancient memory system, linking ages by motion alone. Eleni returns to the sea, feeling history turn like a wheel that has no beginning and no end. Eleni addresses the United Nations, her voice measured, calm, and unwavering. This mechanism was never meant to belong to anyone. It belongs to time itself, The chamber falls silent. Around her, the delegates seem smaller beneath the great mural of the world behind them. She explains that time is not linear. It remembers, replays, and rebuilds through those who touch it. Every discovery, every invention, every act of creation is simply the universe remembering itself. The assembly applauds, yet their eyes reveal fear. Humanity has glimpsed its reflection in the mechanism, and it moves. That night, the stars shift once more. From observatories to fishing boats across every ocean, people see a new constellation. A perfect circle of faint points resembling interlocking gears. The world falls silent. Clocks freeze at midnight, then resume, perfectly synchronized. Eleni stands by the shore of Antikythera, gazing at the horizon where sea and sky merge in quiet unity. She understands now. The mechanism is not a relic, but a mirror, showing humanity what it has always been, the living machinery of time itself. The world begins again, and it still works. The world moves on, yet something has changed in its pulse. Clocks tick softer. The night sky seems more deliberate, and silence holds a different weight. Eleni no longer speaks publicly. She tends instead to the small observatory she has built on Antikythera's cliffs, where she records the new constellations each night. She knows the machine still turns beneath the sea, though unseen, whispering to the tides and to the orbit of the stars. In the still hours before dawn, she hears it faintly through the wind, the same rhythm that once shook the walls of her lab. It is not an artifact now. It is the voice of continuity, of all minds across history joining in the single motion of remembrance. Alan's notebooks have been collected into a single volume, bound in black leather and placed beside the machine's replica in Athens. Tourists pass by, whispering reverently, unaware that the original mechanism beneath the waves still hums with purpose. Scientists call it an anomaly, but those who dive near Antikythera report strange harmonies rising through their equipment. Soft metallic tones that follow the phases of the moon. Eleni listens to recordings of these sounds at night, smiling quietly, knowing the mechanism is no longer separate from the world. It has merged with time itself. Under the waves, where sunlight filters like memory, the real machine rests as it always has, calm, perfect, eternal. Small fish weave between its spokes. Coral traces its letters like reverent fingers. Yet within the bronze, something continues to move. A slow rotation, precise and patient. It does not need to be seen to exist. The universe itself has become its observer, turning with it in seamless correspondence. In that symmetry, the line between creation and creator vanishes. Humanity has built nothing new, only remembered what it once knew by heart. As years pass, the world begins to change in quiet ways. Seasons aligning with celestial harmony unseen for millennia. Storms arriving with clockwork regularity. Humanity calls it coincidence, but Eleni knows better. Each alignment, each rhythm is a gesture from the past, the mechanism's final teaching. Standing by the shore, she closes her eyes and feels the planet breathing, its heartbeat synchronized with the sea. In that pulse, she hears every voice that ever was, woven into the endless pattern. Time, she realizes, was never broken, only misunderstood. Night descends once more upon the Aegean. Stars scatter like sparks across the dark velvet sky. From her observatory, Eleni watches a single light pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. The machine's last message, or perhaps its eternal greeting. She writes one final line in her journal before setting it beside Alan's. Time remembers. Then she steps outside into the whispering wind. The sea stretches, infinite, calm, and alive. Somewhere below, bronze turns in silence, patient as thought. The mechanism does not end. It endures. It still works.